It's January. It's January of 2018. We made it. For a long time, I was worried. I was like, I don't think we're going to get to 2018. I'm sure that moron's going to nuke the entire world. But he didn't. And we lived to make it to now. Even though 2018 is entirely arbitrary. Like, there's nothing magical about January 1st. It's just a date that someone named Gregor decided should be the first day of the year for God knows what reason. And here we are. We're stuck with it. If I had my druthers, we would just rearrange the year. And this is never going to happen because too much stuff is just dependent on dates and like when stuff's going to happen. But to me, New Year's Day should be the day after the winter equinox. Solstice. Or New Year's Day should be the day after the spring equinox or whatever. The advantage of the first approach is everyone in the northern hemisphere is like, well, shit is really dark, and then it's New Year's, and then it just gets better for a long time, and then it gets darker again. If you live in the southern hemisphere, it's terrible for you because New Year's happens like in the middle of summer, and you're like, well, whatever. But they already get Christmas in the middle of summer, so it's weird when you see Christmas celebrations from people in Australia. They are running around in shorts and swimming and putting on suntan lotion. And that would just screw with my little head because Christmas to me is a holiday that involves snow and misery. And you have neither snow nor misery when it is 98 degrees outside and you are sipping a margarita at your pool. Anyway, so the spring equinox idea would be a little better for that because the equinox is the equinox everywhere. That's why it's called the equinox. But then we have to pick which one of the two, yada, yada. We'd figure it out, but we're not going to figure it out because we are never going to change the calendar again. Anyway, it is New Year. So the first question, first of all, you see everyone, you go, Happy New Year for a couple days. It's something to say instead of hello. And then you can have, I've gone back to work. And then, I ask people, hey, do you make any New Year's resolutions? And near as I can tell, no one makes any New Year's resolutions anymore because we've all realized they are pointless and nothing ever happens. I'm told that health club signups are going to be up this month. I saved time by signing up for a health club 20 years ago and don't go. So there was no rush for me to get out, early in January and sign up for a health club this year. I cannot go to a health club 12 months a year and not feel any better or worse about it. Although I have gone, I should go to a fitness center because I'm working on it. I'm still working on it, people. So I didn't really make any resolutions, although I am again trying to not bite my fingernails. If you see me, you should surreptitiously, check on how I'm doing. It's kind of weird. I didn't intentionally do it, but I realized over the break I was just biting my fingernails less. And I was like, wow, I guess work is really terribly stressful and destroying my life. And so I got to work on it because now I'm back at work and I've started biting my fingernails again. So what are you going to do, people? I also went out over the Christmas break. I went to my barber and I said I would like my hair cut. And he said, yes. Because generally that's why you go to a barber. And then I said, how about let's cut it a lot shorter this time? Because I keep going and cutting it, and then it keeps not behaving. And I think it's not behaving because it gets too long. And when my hair is long, it is just does what it wants to do. So I was like, let's go a lot shorter on the sides and shorter on the top. I'll even let you cut the stuff in front a little that never grows because turns out not cutting it isn't encouraging it to grow, so you may as well whatever. And then he was like, okay, it's the same money either way. And then it was a lot shorter. And then I went home, and then no one noticed for a day. So what are you going to do? But for that day, my hair looked great. And the next day I got up and I showered and I got out and I brushed my hair, and it looked not quite great, but it looked good, which was unusual because normally the day afterwards it's back to just pointing everywhere and sticking up in weird places. And it's been like 3 weeks now, and it's starting to stick up in weird places at times. So I think the takeaway I have is I am supposed to get my hair cut like every 3 weeks. I'm not going to do that because that seems like a crazy amount of money to pay for something I don't even have to look at, except briefly in the morning. And occasionally when I go to the restroom at work where they have huge mirrors. I don't know why they have these huge mirrors in our restrooms at work, because it's not a club. We're not primping. Right. Anyway, that's that. We just finished Christmas. Okay, funny story. I'm in my house, and it's early December, and I was like, well, now's about the time of year when I bring the Christmas decorations down from the attic, and we put them up, and we make it look like Christmas. But I was busy, and I didn't feel like doing that. And I was like, well, I guess I'll get to that someday. And then I looked at my living room and realized I had never actually taken down the garland that was on the stairway. It had just been up for the last 12 months, and I had failed to notice it every single day. Like I sat with my head 4 feet away from this garland every time I watched TV downstairs. If you had asked me in August, describe your living room, I would not have said, oh, and there's a green Christmassy garlandy thing on the stairway railing, making it look all festive. So for 11 months, I'm a horrible person, having left Christmas decorations up. Come early December, I turn into a genius because there are still Christmas decorations up in my house. Save me going up in the attic to get them. I still go up in the attic. I had to get other stuff because Loretta was like, it doesn't seem like Christmas without the little trees and the ornaments. So I went up and I got the little tree. Our living room is not large enough for an actual tree. We have one. We put it up there before, but then we bought a new couch and it doesn't work. I could draw a plan for you, but I'm not going to do that. So we have these tiny Christmas trees, and there are 3 of them. So they look like the Papa Bear and the Mama Bear and the Baby Bear. There's 3 of them, and they're all tiny, and we put them on the coffee table that sits to the side, and then we cover them with... My mother makes... For 20 years, my mother has made these little felt ornaments. She buys a pattern. They have printed the pattern on felt. She sits in the car when they are driving places. Father drives. She cuts it out, and then she sews it, and she sews little sequins and little beads onto it, and then she stuffs them full of little... So I have bags of these handmade ornaments that are delightful and meaningful to me, and that would go for $1 each at Goodwill after I die, and they come to throw everything in my house away, and they're like, oh, well, we'll give these to Goodwill. Someone will pay $1 for them. So we set up little trees. I brought down our wreath, and I hung it over my fireplace where the tiger picture that used to be that looked good there, and where nothing has looked good ever since. But I got a hook, so I put the thing there. We had Christmas morning. We had stockings, the same stockings I've had my entire life. I don't know exactly where they came from, but like when I was 3, my parents apparently bought a stocking, and they sewed the name Keith on it in green felt, and every Christmas it shows up. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it goes to. Pretty sure it's in the box in the closet in the room my parents stay in my house. I can go look, and we would ruin the magic of Christmas. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, now I'm faced with a conundrum. I guess I got into that whole story. Do I take the garland down, or do I leave it up for another year? Because apparently it doesn't bother me to be there. But now if I take it down, I worry that like every time I walk into my living room, I'll be like, something is wrong. Something is missing. What's missing? Oh yeah, I took the garland down. Anyway, there's that. I want to talk. Someone asked me to explain. They said, Keith, can you explain this whole raw water thing? No, I cannot explain this whole raw water thing. Apparently, rich people in California have realized that water is too cheap coming out of the tap and too safe for you, and too generally good for you. So they are paying people to go get raw water, which is just water, and sell it to them in expensive bottles. And occasionally it's making them really ungodly sick, because turns out one of the great things about civilization is we figured out how to cure diseases by treating things for the stuff that causes diseases. But when you just show up in the mountains and fill up bottle after bottle with whatever water's running down in a creek, that's the same creek that cows are pooping in, people, is my point. Raw water, don't do it. Just don't even buy water. Like, don't go to the store and buy a big flat of water unless you were buying a flat of water to put in your earthquake supplies. Because there's this thing in almost every house called a tap, and you just kind of turn it on and water comes out. And it's really cheap. Like water is ungodly cheap, all things considered. Just drink that water. It's fine. It's good. I was going to briefly talk. Okay. As you know, Loretta and I play Ingress. We play Pokemon Go. Why? I don't know. We do. It's something to consume our time before we die. For Pokemon Go, like a year ago, we bought the little Pokemon Plus thingies that, like, I can turn Pokemon on my phone on, and then when I drive near something or walk near something, I can push the button. Nothing's happening right now except it's blinking, and then it like spins the Pokestop or catches the Pokemon. It's a delightful. It's a way to get $30 from me, which is what it got. Like a month ago, Loretta was like, well, but it's kind of a pain because you have to push the button. Like, it buzzes and then you push the button and it works. And then someone was like, hey, did you hear? They figured how you can change it so that it pushes the button for you automatically. You open it up and you wire from here to here and you put a switch in and everything's happy. And Loretta's like, I'm going to do that. And then for like 4 hours, she sat at the kitchen table with a Dremel. She was dremeling and she was measuring and soldering and putting a switch in and more soldering and testing, and it worked. She was happy. And then apparently the Pokemon people went, this cannot stand. So now we're just going to make it so if you hack your little Pogo, it's probably not going to work anymore. And then they were like, how do you do that? They're like, well, I don't know if you've noticed this, but normally when it buzzes, it takes you a little while to push the button. But the way you've wired it, it pushes the button the instant it starts buzzing. So all they have said is, if you have superhuman speed, and you hit the button within 4 milliseconds, it's not going to work anymore. So basically, they have screwed the Flash and Superman. Like, the Flash and Superman, just whacking this thing, it's not working for them. Too bad for everyone that hacked things. What else have we done? We went up and saw, as you know, Broadway has run out of ideas. And not only has Broadway run out of ideas, but big companies want to make money on Broadway. So you put those two together, and like the Disney people were like, hey, we had a pretty popular movie with Robin Williams in it in the 90s called Aladdin. We're going to make a musical version of that and charge people $120 to see it. And then they did that. And then that musical started touring around the country, and then they charged me $120 to see it. And it was more than that because Loretta went with me. We sat next to each other. We watched Aladdin. It was okay. Don't spend $120 to see Aladdin, though. It's not $120 okay. Just rent the movie 4 times. I mean, Robin Williams is funnier than the genie on the stage. He was okay. Robin Williams, funnier. Okay, it is Christmas. As you know, I do not get a lot of presents at Christmas because I'm terribly hard to buy for. And I'm hard to buy for because if I need something, I just go buy it. Like, I don't realize I need something in September and then think, well, I'll put this on my wish list and then someone will buy it for me in December. Because by December, I will have forgotten about it, or I won't need it, or I will have bought it myself already. So I'm hard to buy for. Loretta tells me this all the time. So we give up on Christmas. So this Christmas, I was like, it's been like 3 years since they shipped PS4, and I don't have a PS4. I should just buy myself a PS4. And then I thought that in like November, and I was like, I know, I will buy myself a PS4 for Christmas. And then it'll show up in my house in a box, and then I will wrap the box, and then I will take it downstairs, and I will write to Keith from Santa on the box, and then I will open the box, and then I will be happy because I will have a PS4 in my house. So I did that, and then I plugged my little PS4 in a couple days after Christmas, and I started playing the video games on it. Specifically, we started playing a little on the PS3. I really liked a game called Infamous, where you jump around a city and shoot people with lightning. It's delightful and vaguely subversive, but mostly it took me back to my old days of playing Diablo, where you just chain lightning everything. In Diablo, I always played the mage. I always got that chain lightning up as high as I could get it because it was just great fun to walk around through fake little dungeons and just hit the chain lightning button as fast as I could and watch everything die. And Infamous is kind of the same way. You run around, you little lightning-y thingies. It's nice. It's fun. They have another one for the PS4, so we started playing that. It's not lightning. It's smoke, kind of. It's weird. They changed the power. I got used to it. Now I'm hopping around, hop, hop, hop. So over the break, like I would just be sitting in my living room with Loretta next to me, and I would be tappy, 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 tappy. And Loretta's like a little co-pilot. She's like, you need smoke. And then I'd go get smoke. Or she'd be like, there's a guy over there. And we'd go over there and get him. Occasionally my parents would be here and they would be sitting watching me, kind of. Probably wondering what I'm doing. Probably thinking they made bad decisions in how they raised their son. So I bought a PS4. It's exciting. I had fun plugging it in. I had to like move. Okay, another thing I did over the break. As you know, if I'm not going somewhere, generally what I want to do is I want to tidy up my house because my entire house exists in I'm not quite a hoarder, but there's a lot of stuff in my house and I have to work to get rid of it because it just piles up. So I spent a lot of time over the break trying to tidy things up. Like I was up in the attic trying to throw a bunch of stuff away, get rid of boxes for stuff I don't need, decide I don't need these kinds of things, kind of fix some of the network stuff in my house that's been screwed up for a while, and otherwise. So I did a lot of that. Like I spent many, many hours up in the attic sorting through boxes going, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. And some of them I even threw away. So it was great. How'd I get on this? How'd I get on tidying? Oh, so I spent a lot of time tidying. And trying to get ready for, like I want to get a system to back up the computers outside of my house. Because currently I use a thing called Crash Plan and they're going away. So I got to get a new thing. So I was trying to get ready to set that up. And I bought a new computer because it had been 4 years. When I edit this TV show, I will edit it much better than I edited in the past because the new computer is a lot faster and it has a 5K monitor. It'll be beautiful, I'm hoping. Anyway, so I did lots and lots of tidying. Like I raked the backyard. I don't have a large backyard, but the backyard I have does have a now 60-foot redwood tree in it. And that 60-foot redwood tree enjoys dropping pine needles in my backyard. So currently my backyard has a 5-foot high pile of raked up pine needles, which is about 3/4 of the pine needles from my backyard in a pile. I don't know what to do with a pile that big. Like if it was March, I would know that I could put that pile out on the street and they would come take it away. I don't know that I want half of my backyard being a large pile of pine needles for like 3 months. So I got to work on that. The redwood tree is really the only plant I have that is succeeding at what plants are supposed to do, which is grow and be happy. Next up on the list would be I have a lemon tree out front in a pot that is getting by. Like every year I get lemons on it, but it is now like a 10-year-old lemon tree, and people are like, oh, that should be much taller by now. And I'm like, but it's a plant, and plants hate me, and they do not want to grow if I have anything to do with it, which is why this lemon tree is vaguely bigger than it was when I bought it, nay, these 10 or 11 years ago. I was thinking about how old it was because I put it in this little, I bought like half of a wine barrel as a planter, and the entire bottom of it has rotted out, which I know because I tried to push it like 6 inches closer to the house, and the entire thing just started to come apart. So I was like, well, I guess you get to stay where you are until I figure out how to put you in a new barrel, which I suppose I should get around to that, shouldn't I? Someone make a note. Someone make a note. I have to fix my plant, my lemon tree. Plant-wise, so those redwood tree doing great. Again, I have nothing to do with it. It was there when I bought the place. Karmically, it probably doesn't think it's my tree. It probably just thinks it's a tree that happens to be growing on my property. Lemon tree, surviving. Orange tree next to it, no oranges. Been like 5 years, no oranges. I would get rid of it, but then I would feel guilty. I'd feel like a tree murderer because it doesn't have any oranges, but it does have leaves. So I kind of keep waiting for it to like actually die without wanting to encourage it to die. Like it'd be wrong to stop watering it so that it would die, so that I could throw it away and buy another orange tree, because that next orange tree also is not going to grow because karmically plants do not like me. I got on that whole topic. I got on the topic for plants. On that topic for plants, as you know, it's now January 1st.